everyone, it's Shell from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. Today's day 2 of the Countdown to Christmas 2022 series, and we're going to be doing stash busting cards. We are going to be using some scrap cardstock as well as punches and dies. Yes, we're going old school today. Well, the first thing that I did was I pulled out some scraps of cardstock, and then I took the ring from Balloon Arch, which is a Honeybee Stamps die set, as well as some star dies. And I apologize, I don't know where the star dies are from. They're nesting, and they could be from Spellbinders. They could be just from Michael's. So use whatever you guys have. So the first one that we're going to do is we're going to make a wreath out of stars. So originally I thought that I would take 2 different size dies, and I was going to do the larger dies, star dies on the outside, and then the smaller stars on top of them to kind of look like maybe berries or a second layer. But as you'll see in a minute, I cannot get this paper out of the die. I eventually do get this red piece of cardstock out, but the green is so stuck in there, and I got frustrated and I gave up on it. And I just went with the larger of those 2 dies. That's the second smallest die in the nesting set. So I'm just going to keep running this through my bitty buzz cutter till I have enough stars to fill in the wreath. So there you go. Here you see I'm trying everything I can do to get that little star out of there, and it just doesn't work. So we go back to cutting down pieces of paper if they're too large from the scraps and running it through my bitty buzz cutter. So if you guys don't have this thing, this is amazing. I love this for small dies. It cuts out really well with intricate dies, so I highly recommend you check it out if you're looking for a small die cut machine. So you'll see that I'm just going back and forth between all the pattern papers, the solid color cardstock that I have, running it through that bitty buzz cutter, and then I started off putting them around the little circle, but I end up, once I cut everything out, I put them into different piles, the green patterns, the red patterns, the solid red, the solid green, and then the 2 in the middle are ones that have a little bit more white than anything else so that I can mix them in. The craft card base measures 4 by 5.5 inches, and this piece of paper that we're going to the back is a scrap as well. I believe Madeline used this pattern paper to create the gift bag for Brooklyn a year or 2 ago, so this scrap was in my stash. I cut it down to 1/2 inch smaller, so it's 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. Used my Honeybee Be Creative glue to glue it down to the card base, as well as the ring. Now, it doesn't matter what color you cut the ring out of. This ring was one that I had actually in with the dies. It was cut out from a scrap piece, but you're not even going to see it. So that's the great part about this. You are going to use so much of your scrap pattern paper and scrap stash up. It's a really, really good, both cards are actually really good for stash busting of your pattern paper. So once I have them all cut out, I assembled them on the ring in the order that I wanted them, and then I'm going to go around the ring and glue them in order. So these cards would both be fantastic for doing with kids. They're easy to mass produce, so if you wanted to do a stepped up version of these, you could for your holidays. You know, you could do some foiling on the background. I would, again, if I was doing these over again, I probably would have done a more solid background because I think some of the details get lost in here and sometimes you can't see that it's a wreath. But again, I like the way that it turned out. If I just had to do it again, I would do it a little bit differently. So if you are doing this with kids, easy way to do it. You can, use punches, you can use dies, if you have a die cutter machine, if you have a Cricut, if you have a Brother Scan and Cut, anything like that, it's a silhouette. It would be easy to go ahead and put those shapes through the machine and then have the kids assemble them with some Elmer's glue or some glue sticks. Really simple project. If you don't have a die cutter machine or you don't have any of the punches, you could easily do the second card with hearts. You just fold construction paper in half and have them cut out half a heart. You can draw half a heart on there, or if they can cut out half a heart. So it's really, really easy to do with kids. I think this would be a great one to do with preschoolers, especially this one. So you'll see here, I'm just picking out random pieces of cardstock in green. Random pieces of pattern paper in green because I want it to be a tree. So we're going to use the hearts, but we're going to use them upside down to create a tree frame. So the bottom piece is actually going to have 4 hearts, and then it's going to go 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to, I fished that red star out of that first die, and I was determined to use it. I'm using a 5 by 7, or a 5 by 6.5 piece of craft card base, and I thought that I was going to do the pattern paper at first, but then I realized it really is too busy. So I was going back and forth. I thought maybe I should add a little bit of red to it because I wasn't sure. So I went back through my stash and I found some green cardstock. And I thought it looked a little bit too plain, so I needed something to jazz it up a little bit. So we'll do that in a minute, but I forgot we did the base because obviously a tree needs a trunk. So I used the Hero Arts Stacking Pines stencil, and it's really cute. It has the tree trunk, and then you can go over it with a second color, and it puts the lines in it to make it look like a log. So I used gathered twigs and ground espresso distress oxide, just what was left on the brushes that were on my desk. I cut that out of craft cardstock, and then we're going to glue that to the bottom after we do the background. But I thought this was a great size for a tree trunk. I could have made it a little bit larger. If you need a larger one, you can actually just extend the stencil and you can make it as long as you want. So this stencil is really, really great. It's the first time I've ever used it, and I really like it. So again, I was putting that background down and I was like, I need something else. So this is from A Colorful Life Designs. This is the Ho Ho Ho, I think, stencil. And it's a 2-piece stencil and it has these little stars on here. I just wanted a little something on the background. So I'm using Rustic Wilderness to ink up the stars on the stencil. And then eventually I will move it so the whole entire thing gets inked up. So while you're watching me do this, I wanted to tell you about the giveaway that's going on for this entire contest. Make sure that you head over to the intro video for this because everything will be explained there. And in the video description of that video, you will find all of the rules. But I am giving away random prizes throughout this 25 days of Christmas card series. I'm not going to tell you which videos, but I will be picking winners, and you'll win some stamp sets, stencils, dies, some of the things. I have a bunch of stuff put away as prizes, so it's from, all the things are from my favorite companies, and they're all made in the United States, so they're all high quality products. And I just wanted to give back something to you guys because you have all been fantastic with the subscriptions and the comments and the likes and everything. So I really appreciate you. So for the holiday season, I wanted to give back to the people who have been so very kind and sweet to me. Well, if you head over to the intro video, all of the information will be listed there. And I do, again, as I say in that video, I apologize. It is for US viewers only. I do know that I have some international people, so I'm very sorry about that. I'm looking to do some stuff in 2023 for all of my viewers, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so back to the card. We're getting ready to assemble it. So I've glued the trunk base of the tree on, and then I'm going to glue on all of the hearts. And what I do is glue the first one down, and then I overlap the right side with the left side of the second heart, and then do the same thing, and it just fits on there perfectly. So the first row is going to have 4 hearts, and then you move up slightly to 3 hearts, 2 hearts, and then 1 heart at the very top. So you'll see that I am just putting them in place just to make sure that I have that first heart glued down into place. That's the good thing about the wet glue. You have a little bit of wiggle room rather than using the tape runner. And if you use that, it's pretty much stuck where you put it. So again, I think this would be great to mass produce with kids. I think they would have so much fun with it, picking out patterns, coloring them in. You could just cut out hearts and then have the kids color them in. So many different ideas that you can do with this. So I hope that you guys give this a try because it was a lot of fun. I'm going to go back in and add that star that I worked so hard at getting out of that die. I'm going to add that to the top. And I looked at both of the cards and I felt like they're not complete. So what else did I need? I needed a ribbon for the bottom. Now I have some ribbon dies, but I thought using actual ribbon would look cute for this. So I have this pack from Sassy and Crafty, which unfortunately is a company that's no longer in business, but they had some really cute things. And this is in one of their, I think I got this from, I don't think they had kits. I think it was a freebie 1 month, something like that. So there's cute buttons and things like that inside of it. And there was this red and white and green twine. So I thought that I would make a little bow out of it. So I'm going to glue it down with my honeybee glue, but eventually what I have to do is add glue to the wreath and then stick it down because I kept moving it around and the bow kept coming off. So I was cutting off a little bit of the tails because they hung off of the card. So again, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes, so I could have left them the way that it was, but it was just bothering me. So I wanted to give them a little bit of a haircut. And when I did that, I pulled the bow off of the card front because that's just what I do. So you'll see me go back in with the Be Creative glue, add a little bit to one of the stars, and then push it down, and then I will just leave it alone. And funny, when you leave it alone, it actually dries where you want it to. So I'm going to put that to the side, and then we're going to finish the sentiment on the other card. So I was going through my stamp sets, and I found this one from Honeybee. It's called Bitty Buzzword Holiday, and I thought this was super cute. This was a super cute sentiment because we had the hearts. So I'm stamping out the sentiment. I'm stamping the last word first because that way I'll know that I have enough room at the top. If I stamped the top out first, I may not have had enough room to stamp out Christmas. And this is the first time that I'm using this stamp. So, and I did not run my hand over it. So I really took like a risk, not using a stamp positioner like a Misty or anything, and not running my hand over top of it to get some of that extra residue off of the stamps. But it did stamp pretty perfectly. Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink does a really, really good job. And I couldn't find my large block, so what I do is I just take my block and make it into a diamond shape and just use that. So I think it says, you're in my heart, you're in our hearts at Christmas, or you're in my heart at Christmas. So I thought that was really cute because we used hearts for that. So those are the two cards for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and make sure you stay tuned for more videos in the series. Bye!